Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to explore something absolutely mind-bending. We're going to dive into how your brain acts like a master filmmaker, literally editing and constructing your reality in real time.
Take a quick look around you right now. Notice the room, the colors, the objects. Really trust your senses for a second. Notice the feeling of the chair you're sitting in. It feels like you're just taking in the world exactly as it is, right? Well, buckle up because we're about to pull back the curtain on a massive illusion.
Spoiler alert, you aren't. Here's the crazy truth. You don't actually experience reality directly. Instead, you're watching this highly edited, heavily constructed, and honestly, sometimes completely hallucinated projection, all created entirely by your brain.
So let's jump right into Act 1, editing the feed. To really get this, we have to start on the cutting room floor. Every single second, your senses are pulling in an astonishing amount of information. We're talking literally millions of pieces of data. But your brain? It quietly just discards almost all of it before you even realize it's there. This is what we call sensory adaptation. To save you from just total exhaustion, your brain actively filters out anything predictable or unchanging. Think about it, the hum of your air conditioner or the feeling of the socks on your feet. Those things haven't disappeared, obviously, but your brain just labeled them as unimportant. That way, your conscious mind is free to focus on new, important stuff. Want some proof? Try this right now. Look for your nose. Seriously, close one eye if you need to. See its outline just sitting there? Okay, now wait a few seconds, look straight forward, and it's gone again. Your nose is always sitting right smack in the middle of your field of vision, but your brain literally edits it out of your conscious reality because, well, it decided seeing your own nose isn't exactly critical to your survival. This filtering process is incredibly powerful. Vision is less like watching a live camera feed and way more like seeing a carefully edited movie produced entirely inside your head. Psychologists actually proved this with the famous invisible gorilla experiment. They asked people to count basketball passes between players on a screen. Because their attention was so intensely locked onto that one specific task, a huge number of people completely failed to notice a person in a full gorilla suit just strolling right past them. Their eyes definitely saw the gorilla, but the brain? It just left it on the cutting room floor. Oh, and this editing totally extends to color, too. First, objects reflect light wavelengths. Second, cone cells in the eye detect those ranges. Third, the brain creates the color. That's right, objects don't actually have color intrinsically. Your brain literally hallucinates the vivid reds, greens, and blues by comparing signals in your visual cortex. It completely invents the rich palette you see. This is exactly why viral illusions like the dress manage to fool millions of people. Different brains just make different assumptions about the lighting, so they construct completely different colors. Wild, right?
Let's step away from the present for a second and look at Act 2, time travel and prediction. Now that we know the brain edits the present, it's time to realize it's also constantly living in the future. To save energy and react fast in a pretty chaotic world, your brain works like an unbelievably fast forecasting machine. This is called predictive processing, generating continuous expectations about what's going to happen next, all based on your stored memories. Think about catching a baseball. By the time that ball actually hits your hand, your brain had already estimated its speed, its direction, and its exact landing spot way before your muscles even twitched. It even guesses the end of a sentence before someone else finishes speaking.
And this guesswork totally extends to time itself. You see, your brain doesn't have a reliable internal stopwatch. Instead, it estimates the speed of time based on your attention, your memories, and your emotions. When you're on vacation and fully absorbed in the experience, time feels incredibly fast. When you're bored and checking the clock, time just drags. But during a moment of extreme fear, like a terrifying car crash, time feels like it's moving in slow motion. Why is that? Well, a massive surge of adrenaline causes your brain to record an unusually dense, highly detailed memory. So later when you recall it, your brain looks at all that extra data and just assumes the event must have taken much longer than it actually did.
Let's move on to Act 3 and see how this builds into the story of your life. Act 3, rewriting the script.
Let's talk a bit more about those memories. Because just like a Hollywood movie script, your past goes through constant rewrites. Scientists call this reconsolidation. It's the window of time when a recalled memory becomes flexible and can actually be altered before it's stored again. Memories are absolutely not perfectly preserved video files sitting on a hard drive. Every single time you remember something, your brain pulls it out and the memory briefly becomes flexible. Your brain rebuilds it from scattered pieces, occasionally weaving in new emotions, new context, or even false suggestions from other people before putting it back into storage.
So the absolute crucial takeaway here is that your memory is a living document.
Every single recollection is a fresh reconstruction. And this process is exactly why highly confident eyewitnesses in a courtroom can sometimes be completely, 100% wrong. Two people can witness the exact same event and then reconstruct entirely different realities years later based on their own personal beliefs and emotions. I mean, in controlled experiments, researchers have literally convinced people they experienced things that never actually happened, completely through suggestion. No way, right? But it's true.
Now, if your conscious mind is just sitting back eating popcorn and watching this edited movie, we probably need to meet the entity actually running the show. Act 4. The unconscious director.
Back in the 1980s, neuroscientist Benjamin Libet ran this famous experiment that totally shook our understanding of free will. He compared the unconscious brain to the conscious mind. He discovered something called a readiness potential. It showed that your unconscious brain actually starts processing data and preparing possible actions hundreds of milliseconds and sometimes even full seconds before you consciously realize you've made a decision. Your conscious mind literally arrives late to the party. It doesn't originate the action at all. It just gets the chance to approve, modify, or cancel the final choice that your unconscious brain already prepared for it.
And let me tell you, this unconscious director is incredibly busy. Let's look at some of its automated tasks. It uses a specialized region, the fusiform face area, to handle facial recognition, spotting loved ones in a fraction of a second. It's doing instant emotional analysis of expressions to quickly detect friend from foe. It is so obsessed with seeking patterns that it creates fake faces in things like clouds or electrical outlets, which is a fun little phenomenon called pareidolia. Oh, and it's constantly talking to itself. It maintains continuous inner speech and mental rehearsal to shape your moods, all entirely outside of your immediate conscious control.
So what happens when the day is finally done? That brings us to Act 5, post-production.
When the conscious actors go home and you finally fall asleep, the brain's post-production and cleaning crew clocks in for the night shift, which is actually the busiest shift of the day. Sleep isn't just a shutdown, it's a super active process. During deep sleep, your brain is transferring data from temporary to long-term storage, literally filing away what you learned. During REM sleep, it's rehearsing complex neural patterns and skills, which is a huge reason why athletes often perform better after a good rest. And absolutely crucially, the glymphatic system activates, literally flushing out the harmful metabolic waste that built up in your brain during your waking hours.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final provocative question. If your brain constantly edits your reality, filtering your senses, hallucinating colors, predicting the future, and even rewriting your past, who is really watching the movie? The next time you look at a colorful sunset, catch a falling object, or even just feel the socks on your feet right now, ask yourself who is really in charge of this incredible, customized illusion. Thanks for joining us for this explainer. Keep learning, and remember to always question exactly what it is you think you see.